There we go. All right. Hello, guys, and welcome to Healing Spaces with Gently Healing. My name is Jen Tilley, and I am super excited to be with all of you guys today. Yay for this. I want to say hi to Gina. Hi, and hi, Jacob, and hi, Robert. Happy Wednesday to you, too. I love the yellow heart for the SolarPlexus chakra, which we will be working with today. Whoop, whoop. That is awesome. And Lisa, hello. It's so good to see you in here. Yes, this is awesome. And Jasmine and Willow and Sammy. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. I love you so much. And yes, hello family. Oh my gosh, I hope you all have had just a wonderful day. It's been very hot here actually in California. When we got into the car, and granted, it's the heat of the car, but it was like 114 degrees, it said. And I'm like, what? In June? This is crazy. But it's been very fun. Yep. Yeah, so Zach is just explaining what's going on. So luckily, we're doing it so that I can have also a video camera that's not all choppy like it was. Our internet here is poor, as we've talked about. So anyway, so as we go along, Jasmine also says it's hot here, almost 100, no sun and lots of humidity. We do not have the humidity here. It has more of that dry heat. I imagine that's pretty hot. I hope you're drinking lots and lots of water. I think that's really important that we stay hydrated. We were talking about cucumbers yesterday, and when we used to do the rave parties, a lot of people would actually bring cucumbers with them because they were so hydrating. And it was just such a funny thing to see. Instead of people walking around with water bottles, they would walk around with cucumbers. And then I went on to explain, and I don't know how many of you have ever heard of this, but have you ever heard of milking the cucumber? I think it might be a Mormon thing. I'm not totally sure. But just side notes, but with cucumbers, they can be a little bit bitter. But if you cut off like the top of them and then you take that top and kind of just do this like circle around on top of the cucumber, it will start getting this milky stuff coming out of it, and that takes the bitterness away. Have any of you ever heard of that before, or done that before? I'm not a big cook or anything, but there's random things that I do know. And we ran out of water. What? No, need to refill our jugs. I had watermelon and cucumber last night. Oh, look at that. So here it is. Good. So you're staying hydrated that way, but definitely need to get that water. We can't drink really the tap water here in California. It's pretty nasty stuff, but we do have like a filtered system that's outside, and so we fill the jugs. Yeah, I've heard of that before. Good. Never heard of that before. Yeah, it's not a very common. Never milked a cucumber in my life. If anyone came into this conversation, they'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm such a pervert sometimes. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, literally, you just, it's very simple. You just literally cut off the top of the cucumber and use that part and just circle it around, and it will milk it out. So anyway, that is hilarious. So anyway, what a fun time. Zach and I had a lot of really great dialogue today, which we often do. I feel very lucky for the deep levels of conversation and learning that I get to have in my life to make effective changes. And currently, I've been working on like a piece of art, and it's of a squid, actually, is what I've kind of been drawn to, and it's a very watery creature, and obviously it lives in the water. It was reported once upon a time that it also lived on land. However, I think that anytime that any kind of watery animals are coming to me, I think about very much like the watery aspect of not just my birth sign being a double Cancer, but just like emotions. Water definitely represents the emotions. And for me, it's an important kind of platform to talk about, because I am a double Cancer, and double Cancers, if you know anything about astrology, that is a lot of emotions to go balancing inside that space. I shared before, like when I was growing up, I thought cancer was like the best sign and the most loving and the homebody and all this kind of stuff. And as I grew up, I came to find that, boy, more emotions is not necessarily the better. And the importance of me learning how to use logic. And that's just not something that has been natural to me. I didn't have like a whole lot of regular male role model figures in my life, in the sense that I think the masculine really has that balancing act of the logical mind. I definitely had more of a prominent household full of women. So navigating the emotional planes has been a very fascinating journey. And if any of you have taken the time to watch Zach, you can see that he is probably one of the most logical-minded men I have ever met in my life. And so it's quite the balance that I get to have and learn from, and I'm very grateful. And it's sometimes been, a challenge in and of itself, where when you're pulling in logic and you want to be emotional, they just don't quite go together. But in the way that I would describe that process now is more like this. And I think oftentimes people say, well, it's important to honor the emotions. Yes, it's important to honor the emotions that are coming up, but learning how to balance them also with the logical mind. So when you step forward and you're feeling that emotional state, you then back it up with the thinking. So you have the emotion and then the thinking. And that thinking process is the logic. Okay, this is the emotion now I'm experiencing with the next step. What is the logical basis of it? If it is fear-based, false evidence appearing real often is with fear, is an acronym. And so it's really bringing in and looking at, is this emotion valid or not valid? And there's many times you'll find that when these emotions are coming up and you are being triggered, it is literally your way of showing you past traumas that have not been healed. It is interesting because even like for me, something that I'll jump into, which is like going back to that version of that 6-year-old self that is being scolded by a parent. And it's not being scolded like a parent. This isn't happening in my immediate reality. It's just what my emotional mind likes to create as an illusion. And because our brains have no concept of time, I might as well be that 6-year-old. So unless you build the tools and learn how to balance the logic, it is very, very, very easy to jump back into these old behaviors. So many of us adults are acting like the little children, and where we are no longer those little children, though those children still do exist inside of us. The big thing is honoring that small child and learning to love and nurture and care for that small child. As I've talked to, like with the families and the way that we were raised, most all of us just were never given these tools on understanding what it is to balance that. So when you find yourself kind of reverting back to that younger version of yourself, feeling like your reality is, well, maybe you're being scolded, let's just say, but you're not. Like, these are the emotional lenses. You literally put lenses over your reality, and your prismatic reality becomes a prison of what was before. And this is why I often talk where a lot of therapies and a lot of people will go back and say, let's go look at those past traumas. It's not saying that with my clients we don't talk about those past traumas per se, or go back into a past traumatic situation to try and go get yourself back in that space to see what you left behind. But in reality, I'm not so sold on that being the way we should go, in the aspect that anything that happened to us in our past was based off of these emotional lenses and the dimensionality of ourselves where we were at that moment. So really, with our memories, they're falsities. They're not real or based in actual factual realities. There can be these aspects that maybe were factual. This thing happened, right? But all of the other aspects of how you reacted to it literally created lenses. There's a man named Alain de Botton. He does like the School of Life YouTube videos. I don't know if you've ever watched those, but they're really great YouTube videos, and I'd highly recommend you to go and watch them. But Elaine de Botton was the first person that actually brought the concept of the emotional lenses to me, and it just made perfect sense. Where it's like, how is it that I could be showing up with somebody that is showing me care in my reality, but I keep perceiving that I'm being punished, and this is not happening. So why? And that is the navigation of the beautiful dance that we get to play. So when you are honoring the emotion, when it comes and it is triggered, looking at that emotion and then taking the next step of using the logic of your mind. Well, why am I thinking this? Why am I seeing this? Is this a pattern? How often is this coming up? What is, well, use your logic. You follow the logical path. But if you take too many steps, let's say you're taking your right step forward for the emotional side, you're not going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 steps with only your right foot. You're going to also be taking the steps with your left if you are going to be balanced. If not, you're going to be in a very imbalanced and precarious split-like position. And that's exactly what is happening in your fractal reality, which is the splitting if you are not finding the balance of the logical and the emotional mind. And so I really wanted to talk on that aspect today. I want to pop over really quick because I do see a few comments here. And so before I keep going on, I definitely want to keep up to speed with my peeps, my fam out there. Yeah, I've heard of that before. Okay, yeah, that was a cucumber. I've never heard of that, but definitely going to do that to my cucumbers. And tap water is trash too. I get osmosis water. Oh, my dad invented a water softener, which like reverse osmosis units, RO units. My dad actually has a business set up in both Texas and in Utah for the water specifically. I'm aware of the water issues in Texas, Jasmine, so I'm glad to hear that you are getting some good water in there. I definitely, like when I lived in Arizona, in the place I lived, we actually put an RO unit, a reverse osmosis unit, and that was just so helpful instead of always having to go to the store to get water. But I've definitely lived that life. Zach says, we could really use some help advertising the podcast places. If anyone is interested in donating some time to helping out, get in contact with me, and I have some easy ways. Yeah, you guys, honestly, like, I love that. Any help that we could get to be able to get this out. And I appreciate all of you that are actually sharing. And you are on Facebook, and I see it, and I love it, and the sweet comments that you're making. It just warms my heart. And I kind of shared with you before is that when I go and try and advertise, it's like my account has been flagged in the sense of like I'll go to several different groups. I'm thinking between 5 or 10 groups a day. I think that I can do without getting my account frozen. But if you have different groups that you're involved in, if there's a few places you could drop that, I mean, getting this stuff out there is so important as we're waking up the world together. And so, again, I appreciate all of you doing that and helping out. But yeah, those are things that are really, really helpful. And I love the squids. That's the color of the squid I'm drawing right now, like literally, which is so fun. I mean, maybe that's the squid color and they use it, but like, when I'm completed with the picture, I will share it with you, and I love that. And that's what Zach was saying. I did. I love the egregor, and squids are so smart and so intelligent and add so much. Get her to show you the workout. Okay, all right, Zach, you say it, and it's not too far. Just a sec. All right. Now that the camera is better, let's see if I can do this. How do I? Maybe I pull it back farther? Oh, that's better. I didn't need to be so close. Woo. Yeah. So that... I don't know. It's a mirroring effect. So anyway, so that's a squid. There's also a Merkava in there that hasn't been like colored in yet. So anyway, Yeah, there you go. I guess I don't normally show my work in progress, so that was a first. I got a little fly that's buzzing around, little shamans. Ooh, Robert just uploaded another video. Can't wait to listen to it. Ooh, Robert, I can't wait to listen to it either. Oh, that is so awesome. And I do want to announce, like, if any of you were listening, and many of you know this already, but that video or the music that plays in the beginning is, yes, me playing the flute, but Robert put that video together for us and for me. And I've never had anyone do that before. And I'm still just like so in love with it. And I love that it was from the meditation of the snake. I absolutely love snakes, as you could see. I generally always draw a snake within my art. I think that it's such a rad and important medicine. I've loved snakes my whole life. So good times. Robert, I'm very much looking forward to hearing that. So if you could send it over to me, I would appreciate it a whole lot. The School of Life videos are spectacular. Yes, totally agreed. So you guys, if you haven't watched them, they're so great. Like if you're having any kind of emotional anything, just like Google that name of emotion and School of Life, and it will like totally bring it up and kind of give you some logical aspects to well, how to figure that out. And I think it's really cool that we have access to a lot of this information at our fingertips, and why like doing these videos and sharing this information with you and the world, and also being able to share the different platforms that I have found so that you guys can go do the research. What I tell everyone is like, don't believe anything I'm saying. You go do the research. If this has resonated with you, there's a reason that it's resonated. But go and discover this for yourself. It's like the healing work, if I have done my job correctly, looks like you did all the work, not me. Little fly. So really highly recommend anything that I'm saying. Always question everything that you believe, always, and then question again some more. There's been aspects where I've studied and learned something. I'm like, this is it. I've got it. And then like just months later, years later, I'll go back and I'll be like, yeah, I don't believe that at all. So being attached to our belief systems is something I would say pay attention to. And generally when you come up to something where you're like, ooh, I don't believe that at all, I would say check that as well, because oftentimes that egoic self is like, ooh, let's move right past that and not pay attention. So there's a lot of stuff. Thank you, Gina. That is very cool. Thanks. Yeah, there's still a lot of work. Like there's still parts of my mind that is still drawing. They're my sigils, and there's definitely lots of meaning and power behind what we create. And it is about the creation and getting back to talking about when we get tied to our past and keep looking backwards, we literally are creating more cycles of that for our future. And this is why when we are talking about the trauma, like, yes, I honor these terrible things happen to you, absolutely, and I love you and I care about you, and that was fucked up, you know, and not cool. But at the same time, when we look at our futures, it's what we're creating for our futures. And so it was like my 6-year-old self used to always talk to my 26 to 28-year-old self. And I'd have conversations with that girl that I honestly believed had it figured out. There was power behind that. And it was something that came to me when I was very young. Why? And there was a point in my life where I ended up no longer talking to that future self. In fact, I ended up having like this... I have to honor this fly that literally wants to just land on my face. That's just what's going to happen. I love, like, the other day I totally saved this fly. It landed in the oil, and I went and I got some, like, alcohol Q-tip and tried to, like, clean off its wings and its legs, and I think they're just so in love with me now. So just like most people, it's like not killing the flies. There's been points, because there's a lot of flies around here currently, where you know you could get frustrated with it, But honestly, they're here to bring medicines, and I see the flies as little shamans coming around, and it's not surprising that Zach and I would have flies around in our space, and yeah, and when the journey of healing gets even louder, they come. But even like the day that I was working on saving that fly, I couldn't get it to actually fly. Again, poor guy. I mean, what's a fly that can't fly, right? That's what Joe said. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. A fly like that can't fly. And it wanted to. And so it really just kind of flipped itself over and it went on with its life. But that was the medicine that was honored there. But that very night, as I was sitting there in meditation, and just helping with the passing of that fly, because, you know, what's a fly that can't fly? And then seeing the medicine, and literally above my head was probably 8 flies or more, just like literally in a perfect circle above my head. And I was like, oh man, this medicine is so powerful, and we're all just so connected. There's no difference between me and that fly, and you know, one life to another, whether it's the life of a fly or a life of a human. We're all consciousness. So in creating the futures, it is not looking back. Like when those things come to trigger, it is who you want to be 10 years from now, who you want to be 5 years from now, and then acting as if and taking the steps forward so that you can figure out what it is you need to do now. The pasts that we had are built on illusions and falsities. So giving them power is only creating more illusions and more falsities. So when those emotions do come up, you do see the trigger. This is just your way of showing you what hasn't been healed so far. So when you then apply the logical aspect, like why, like, it's usually the people that are closest to us are the people that get it the worst from us. If we're not kind and loving to ourselves, we are not going to be truly kind and loving to the people we actually love, like the most besides ourselves. If we need to put ourselves as that number one love so that we know how to love. And that was probably one of the hardest aspects of my self-discovery, was that I just coming from being that disgusting caretaker, and how I was showing up for other people and never showing up for myself, that there was so many negative attributes, and I try and throw in negative connotations behind the caretaker, because I believe that for so many years of my life I thought it was the least problematic, and it was the best kind of character defect, if you will, to have, because you're actually showing care for these other people. But it's not true. In fact, in order to continue that care, because it's your own self-esteem fundraiser, you not taking care of you, is massive amounts of manipulations, massive amounts of lies to be able to keep up the facade of the caretaker. So I throw in negative connotations to that, but it is learning how to take care. And when you learn how to take care of you, you will be able to learn how to take care of your external reality. But it begins with you. And it begins with you. So anyway, biggest thing with that was when I had gone through that very, very deep depression, when I was having all of those seizures that I've shared with you, where my anxiety was so high, and there was so much of me. I was working through, you know, massive amounts of suicidal ideations, healing myself of those things. But when you are in those places and in those spaces, those that are closest to you, if you cannot show love and care for yourself, it's going to hit your external reality, and you're going to see falsities, like, let's say, thinking that Zach was disciplining me in some way, or these certain things that just weren't true. A man that was actually showing up, showing true care, showing true amounts of love, could not actually be experienced until I could do that for myself. This is why when it comes to depressions and suicides, the reality is no one can pull you out of that space but you. No one. It's literally only your job, no matter how many people. Let's say you have 100 people around you. If you aren't doing it for yourself, you can't feel it. You can't experience it. In fact, you're in coincidentia oppositorum, an opposite reality. And so all of a sudden, you'll end up enacting behaviors and things that aren't operating to the highest versions of yourself. You're being mean and cruel to yourself, and that has ripple effects to your external reality. So very important to understand why I speak so much about that self-love, so that you can know it, so that you can experience it. I definitely have like people in my life that come to me that I love and I care very much for. A most recent situation with a family member that came and very much a massive amount of depression. And I explain the same things I explain to you, work on the same kinds of meditations. And unless you make that decision, it is going to either, well, you'll either go completely the opposite direction and not listen. Like, I think so many of us just want it to be somebody else's job. It's like the mommy daddy syndrome, that you're going to have a mommy and daddy that are going to come and pick up the pieces for you and clean up your life. Or the fairy tale fantasies that Prince Charming or the princess is going to come around and rescue you. This is not true. This is not accurate. You are those things. You are your father and mother. You are your son and daughter. You are those things inside of you. And when you learn to show that love and care for yourself, holy shit, your reality will change. You will be able to sit in here and have a whole family that just shows up to listen to you talk and experience and express love and show the entanglement that no matter how far away we are, from England to Australia to Florida to Texas to all the different places that we come from, that we're all connected. There's no separation between time and space. We are all together. So I share my information. I share my bandwidth with you guys as you do the same with me. It is like an ecosystem of learning how to fall in love, but really falling in love with the idea of falling in love, of watching somebody fall in love with something falling in love. There is no greater feeling than that. And this is the reality that I'm trying to create. I think that sounds like a hell of a lot better than where we came from. And so, like, when it comes to our parents, for example, yeah, they did the best job they could under their circumstances, whether they were great parents or shit parents. Like, either way, they did the best they could. Let them off the hook. This is where I talk about be very careful of the curses you're putting out there. If you say, I had bad parents, this is my parents' fault, I'm having blame, you put that into your external reality. You give your power away, as opposed to understanding that power is yours and no one else's. That exists inside of you. But when you also put that externally, you are cursing that parent. You are cursing that negative, that person with negative energy that will surround them. It is a geometry. It is a shape. And because your bandwidth is connected, then let's say your mom is walking down the store and you just talked about them being a bad parent. Even if you live in two different states, there is an energetic resonance between somebody else walking down that grocery store hallway that will see your parent and go, ooh, that was a bad mom. That's the curse that I'm talking about. This is the energy and the when you share that connection that you are putting out there. And this is where I say, stop. Like, based off of our genetic DNA, all of us, we just didn't have that amount of information at our fingertips and ready. This is where we change. The one guarantee in life is that everything changes, but it starts with you and no one else. And unless you are like seeing that, no one else can show you that. So this is why we are coming together, and I love it. So I'm going to jump over here to some comments. So we have, love your picture. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you. I really, really enjoy doing art and drawing and expressing myself. When I first started out, I used to dedicate my life to like work, for example, or all these external things like caretaking and taking care of other people. So creating things, I just didn't know what my talents were. I knew when I was younger, I did a lot of theater. I was very good at theater, though when I was in theater, I had no idea how good at theater I was until you kind of look back, you know, when you're in the experience. Like, and you have low self-esteem, it's very, very hard to see where you're at now. But to just like pull in theater again, I would do like a little bit with it, but it just wasn't where I was at, nor was it really truly my own creation. It was my creation based off of a character that somebody else wrote, but it wasn't really my own unless I was writing my own scripts, which I wasn't. So anyway, so when it came to art, like when I was younger, I used to really enjoy drawing. I got away from it for a very long time. And then I got fearful because like all the years had passed and I just didn't have the talent or the skills and blah, 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 blah. And the fact was, is all it did was like just to start to understand that it is important that we create and learn how to create. It doesn't matter if it was just doodles that I started with or however it was. It was my own creations. It's not based off of anyone else's opinion, though I appreciate the sweet comments that you guys make. My creations are for myself, and I find now that they're very beautiful, and I really, really love them, and it's actually very fun to share them, which is a new thing for me. But on this journey through like the awakening, understanding that it was important to find those outlets, to find those ways to express myself. So I found my ways to express myself through drawing. I found ways to express myself through my flute playing. And they just grow. They just grow. And the reality becomes much brighter and prettier and a bunch of other things. And I'm not distracted with, those negative things from the past. And it just, it's really, really cool. So I'm really happy that I get to share that. Doesn't matter where your dimensionality is at when it comes to the art. This is for you. This isn't for anybody else. This is you learning how to fall in love with yourself. And everything is an expression. Maybe that squiggly line that was outside of the lines was an exact thing you needed to know and see, that we don't always draw inside the lines. What animals have you seen today, Jen? Ooh, well, you saw that I saw a fly. That fly really wanted to be a part of this. Let's see. Gosh, I feel like I have not been outside very much today. Oh, that's interesting. I definitely saw bees today, and then my doggies. But really, I literally have not been outside. I really kind of woke up in the morning and I was working on my drawing, and then we went and grabbed lunch, but I didn't really see any critters out there, and then came back here. So that was it, just a fly. What about you, Willow? What did you see today? I agree completely with what you were saying about past traumas. I think dwelling on past traumas can get you stuck in negative emotions and create a victim complex. Absolutely. 100% agree with that. And again, when I talk about the victim, because this is another part that I talked about, because in my past, I perceived myself as a victim. And this is not what I am choosing to identify with today. What I found, and especially when I'm talking, like when I was deep in those depressions, and to pull myself out, if I identified as a victim, I would be operating in duality. Therefore, I would also be the victimizer. So as long as we identify as that, and I'm telling you, I've worked with people with the most horrific stories, like things I can't even repeat. I can't even repeat. And I will tell them the exact same thing. And it really is that you got to stop being that victim, and you need to let it go. And any time that's cropping up, you find your way to take your power back. If you need to just pop back into that moment and be like, I kicked the shit out of that person, and then put yourself back here. I mean, there's aspects, but really, honestly, it's no. Like, instead of popping back, pop yourself forward. Pop yourself forward where you aren't a victim, that you have created that perfect reality. This is when I share about my weight loss. Like, I put myself to my future self. Could I love myself there, where I am right now? Could I love myself at 70 pounds heavier than I am? Could I do that? And you know what? I found it. I found that spot. It wasn't about my weight. Where could I have the compassion for myself? Where did that exist? And I made that grow. And I accepted myself where I was, whether I lost the 70 pounds or didn't lose the 70 pounds. I believe that I would be sharing a very similar story about how I learned to love myself right where I was. And I was still 70 pounds heavier. Though my theory was that the fat was just stored trauma, and in order to lose that weight was to let go of that stored trauma and actually heal it. And again, healing is a heel, which is on your foot, which is in the back, and it's in your past. And we are looking to step forward and moving forward. So again, it is a dance. Think about the emotion and then bring the logic. So it's the emotional thinking. So that when you're taking those steps, it's like, what about Bob? If any of you have watched it yet, but I'm baby stepping, I'm doing the work. And sometimes it's just like that. But this is how you balance. And like I said, the logic doesn't come natural to me. It's something that I'm still currently training. And these shadow behaviors and these things, they are going to crop up until I'm healed, until my heart weighs as light as a feather. I'm not sure if I'm going to skyrocket myself off this planet once my heart weighs as light as a feather. Not sure if that's all done in this lifetime, but I don't need to. What I need to know is that I'm taking the necessary steps in order to get myself there. And that's important. And Jacob agreed. Yep, agreed. Gotta let that victim go. When you see that victim cropping up, no, you're victimizing, man. This is like when I talk about the empath and the narcissist. It's like so many people will be like placing the blame on the narcissist that they've attracted to in their life. And the reality is, if you're identifying as the empath, you're also identifying as a narcissist, whether you're seeing it or not. That behavior and that entity, that aspect exists. That is how the pendulum swings, my friends. I saw a squirrel today. Oh, Jasmine, which medicine did we just read that had the squirrel in there? We just had that. So squirrel is gathering your resources. I like it. And it is our tools. Like, these are the tools that we're gathering so we can show up as the best versions of ourselves. The other thing that I'm working on is the multitasking. Multitasking, you guys, and especially I know for moms, like, you got to figure out the multitask, but not. Like, the truth is we are all shit at multitasking. Like, you're only doing a partial job. Like, if you are taking two things and only, like, you can't do them 100% if you're doing two things at once. So really putting your care and attention to the one thing and then being able to go on to the next. But if not, you're going to be half-assing so much of your life where you're actually excellent at certain things that you're not allowing yourself to be. And then when you attract the half-ass, this is what you then continue to bring forth into your life. So the multitasking is something that I would give journal on, you guys. Sit down and look at where you're multitasking in your life, and kind of weigh that. Like, none of us are perfect, and neither is that a real thing or not. You're the definer of perfection. But like, I find, like, with even having a conversation, if you're multitasking your thoughts, like, oh, I got to go do this and now I got to go do that, you're not giving 100% care and attention to that person that is in front of you and in your life. So a big thing I would talk about is look at your multitasking and figure out how to stop doing that. I think it's a fallacy, and do one thing well and then move on to the other thing. And this is that, like, thing when you're a parent and there's, like, the kid coming and you were making dinner and you were doing these things. You got to make your choice. Like, I'm going to stop it, and now I'm going to go do this over here. But to do the two things at once, usually that just is going to ensue some kind of chaos. And we're trying to learn how to balance and navigate in a world that does operate in chaos. So, yeah, the multitasking. I don't blame my parents for whatever I went through with them. They have their own own healing from their own trauma that was passed to them from their parents. Absolutely, Jasmine. I believe you and I actually had conversation towards that. Yeah, let your parents off the hook, you guys. If you're holding resentments or any kind of stuff, they did the best they could in their DNA. Like, they could be doing behaviors that their great-great-great-grandmother was doing and not realizing it. It's not them. And if they're ever going to have an opportunity to heal, like, give them every opportunity. Don't help them out in the opposite direction by talking negatively about them. You're also attracting that for yourself. If you're then thinking these negative thoughts and you're sending that out there, guess what you're attracting back into your life? People that will have judgment of you. People that will be saying very similar things about you. It's not worth it. Just not worth it. So this is how I say you let it go. Like, when those thoughts crop up, you don't feed them. You just observe it. Oh, there it is again. But you could then add in the logic. And you could then also add in the neuro-linguistic programming. That's a lie. You know, it wasn't my parents. There was a period of time when I was going through, like, that depression in specifics that I was talking about. I had to stop talking to my family because I had a lot of blame coming out of my vessel. I was angry that I had these lies that I was telling myself, and this aspect, and my dad was a liar, and then because of this, and I knew that they weren't accurate. It was like I woke up into a coincidentia positorum, the opposite reality. So anything that I was blaming, I knew wasn't real. So I couldn't have my family there because I would externalize that to the people that I perceived to be the closest to me. So I had to, in all intents and purposes, like abandon my family as I had perceived the abandonment. Really, it was a liberating aspect. But at the same time, it was a necessary step for me to be able to take, so that I could truly take the responsibility. So yeah, and take my power back, because it was nobody else but me. They weren't doing that traumatic stuff. They weren't looping those thoughts to me anymore, or whatever was happening. They weren't doing that. I was doing that. No one else. And there was no one else that could stop it but me. And so when we talk about be mindful of your thoughts, and what's happening with them, and bring awareness, you don't need to beat yourself up for it. Just be the observer. Oh, there's that thought again. Don't feed it, and allow it to just kind of pass through. And then be the governor. So when like, let's say that's a rippling effect out into your reality, you're able to see that cycle come, that trigger come. And then at those points, you don't have to act on that trigger. You will have learned how to, quote unquote, tame the shrew. There's a reason that every story in some way is about us, whether you're male or female. You too have to learn to tame your shrew. We all have it. We're both the male and female. Everyone is always doing the best they can, given their life experience, brain chemistry, whichever way the wind is blowing, etc. Yeah, that is right. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm always getting better. That is a great affirmation. Yeah, they're given their life brain chemistry, whichever way the wind is blowing, etc. Yeah, I mean, their brain chemistry, I think that we can program our brains like a computer. So, and the chemistry of our minds, I think that we can, yeah, I mean, watch what's happening with that brain chemistry, the neuro-linguistic programming, the neurons that are inside your brain, the new creations that you are creating for your future is creating new neurons within that brain. You are creating a whole new chemistry. This is why I love doing the meditations where you are the chemist. That governor can come right in, and you make yourself within your mind the chemist, so that you begin to balance your emotional chemistry and your logical mind and the necessary tools that you need to have within that vessel. My mom has always had her problems with her mom, and my dad was abused physically by his dad. Like, he beat up my dad so that my grandma wouldn't get him. So I'm glad they are on their own, and that they are enjoying their marriage and creating the life they want together, and they finally learn to let go of their toxic relationship with their parents. You know what, Jasmine, that is like super, super powerful to be able to witness. And this is that process of transcension and changing, and not being stuck to the genetics of that. But this is like, if the abuser goes on to abuse, the hurt people. Is like what you had said here. So he beat up my dad so that my grandma wouldn't get hit. Oh, that's actually different. Like, he beat up my dad so that my grandma wouldn't get hit. So he actually would take one for the team, but at the same time, like, the ripple effects into your immediate reality is pretty massive. When my dad's father passed, he came to meet my son through a dream. He dreamt all his children were in peace, gathering together in a big white house in Greenfields. And when I woke up, he was standing. Wow. Wow, Jasmine, this is such a powerful story. In front of me, fading out. Wow. Wow. I'm starting to realize I've absorbed a lot of the family trauma. Maybe their stories and actions have affected me more than I've realized, and I no longer wish to hold on to those stories. Yes. 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 So powerful, Jasmine. Like, what you're saying here is healing. You're like, here is this story as the example of really primarily what I was talking about. And then making the decision that you no longer wish to hold on to them. what is the point and what is the reasons? Like, I think that we get attached, like we're going to have some kind of legacy or some kind of thing, like we need to have these stories to be able to share. But it's not so much about the details of those stories, because honestly, the stories, like when you're sharing your stories with other people, they're already in their own mind and they're already relating it to themselves, if you will. So it's not that your story will ever be powerful as the other person's story is. So I think that we have attachments to something that just isn't real, if you will, and really, like, you do absorb those family traumas. That is what is in the DNA. This is why, like, we do so many meditations with DNA and interpolations. Why I talk about your strands being like DNA, so that you literally are recoding your DNA with these meditations that we are doing, having the necessary tools. I worked with this guy for this short period of time who he was a curandero, and he had that bloodline. They had I don't know if I've mentioned him in this, but he had his family had come into America not by legal means, if you will, and so the family history was very quiet and not talked about. And he went on in his life, and he went down like the mushroom aspect. So he was using like the psilocybin medicine. And when he was in this psychedelic space, just like any good curandero out there, he could see the different dimensions. He could travel the different dimensions. And one of the aspects in these dimensions that set him apart, that he could see that most others could not, would be the spirit of the child molester. So he would take women through ceremonies, or men that had had some kind of sexual traumas, through the psilocybin journey, but he could actually go into this space, the dimensional space, with these people, and really kick the shit out of this child molester spirit and evoke it out of the space, get it out. The difference between what he wanted to do, because he killed it within his mind. He would kill this child molester spirit so it no longer could be there. I don't think that we could actually, as long as we're operating in duality, necessarily kill that spirit. I think that as long as we're having these sexual pendulum swings of aspects, that is just part of the box that we're in, the angle. And so, but at the same time, that's kind of like a side note. The reality is that we have these things in our genetic history, whether we know our histories or don't know our histories, have the ability to go in and heal these traumas, not just with ourselves, but we can also help others. And the reality is that we do absorb those traumas. I think he had this special affiliation with the child molester spirit was because his sister had been molested, but he had also, if you think about it, because of the trauma that he absorbed. And we do this also, like a lot of times, like with our parents, we'll take on their traumas. Like let's say they went through something very, very difficult when you were like 8 years old, and you went and you comforted them. There's the transgenerational DNA transfer, if I have that correct, where you literally take that from them. It's like that caretaker. You take that experience from them, so they never actually get the magnitude of it, but you end up taking it on yourself. So yeah, being very, very mindful. And this is where it's like getting yourself to the now and what futures you're creating, because all of this past trauma, all of that stuff, like we're getting that out of there. Like our futures that we're creating don't have to have this boxed in child molester spirits and all that kind of stuff in there, but it's getting it out of you. Like who knows who had that there, but this can be passed down. Like abused people end up abusing people. Many molesters molest because they were molested, and until you make the decision to stop and make that change, well, you won't be the governor of your show. You have other things inside of you, other spirits, if you will, that are very happy to take over for you. So take your power back. Don't give your trauma the credence and the weight that I think that we were really kind of taught to do. Create your future. Take that energy and put it forward. and also put it to your now. What do you need to do in order to create that now? And this is why I say, with the most simple things, write your perfect day before you go to bed. Literally write out all the things you love about your normal day. Again, not like, I want to be on a beach drinking Mai Tais or whatever. Not that. I mean, your kid is being the best kid on the planet with this cute personality. The loved one here is actually now enacting this behavior. Things are coming easy to you this way. I was able to do this semblance of yoga and stretching. Let's say you like to do that. You create what you imagine to be your perfect flowing day. And that's what you end up creating. So you keep the future of the 10 years from now, and then you keep the future of one day from now, and then you enact even like an hour from now or 5 minutes, but not so much that you're outside of the now, but know, like, when you are triggered, you'll go, well, who do I want to be really? If you enact that negative behavior, that's who you want to be most. Like so many times, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to, da, da, da. That's bullshit. You wouldn't do it if you didn't want to do it. Maybe it's easier to do it that way because that's your habituation. And that's why you wanted to do it more. But it's really like taking that power back. So, yeah. Not even back. Like, that's even like taking it out. Like, it never left. That power's inside of you right now. Like, it's not outside. Like, it's there. All of that is there. Jen, what are your thoughts on integrational trauma? Oh, intergenerational trauma. I was like, I didn't get that one. Intergenerational trauma. Well, my thoughts on that. Is that just like that's kind of the thing that I was just kind of talking about. My thoughts on the... So what can I expand more onto that? Being mindful of what is yours and what is yours. It happens. Yeah, it happens. Let me do this. Yeah, I was just reading. So it says, I tend to define intergenerational trauma as traumatic event that began years prior to the current generation and has impacted the ways in which individuals within a family understand, cope with, and heal from trauma. Yeah, so I was getting that right. That's pretty much what I'm talking about, is that we end up having these coping mechanisms, these attributes that we do. Like, for example, my dad, he liked to tell the white lies or whatever. And all of that, like, that is part of his coping mechanism, him creating the reality. Like, things that he would say, like, I got 5th at state for this theater competition, which was freaking phenomenal, really. There was 1,000 people I beat out to be able to be 5th at state. But he turned around and he told everyone I was 1st at state. And maybe that would be like not so traumatic, if you will, but it's like he needed that reality to be that much brighter for whatever reason. And so these like mechanics can then operate into my reality. So I had to look at where I was doing that. So generally when it comes to things that our family members are doing that bother us, it's because we're doing it somewhere. That's why it's like, ooh, matey, red flag. I'm feeling something here. That's the time that you need to look at it. So yeah, that happens all over the place. The other thing I was thinking about was, like, I had this client, and again, the molestation. This is a very common theme. And my so much compassion. I love all of you guys so much. We don't ever have to have this anymore. We just need to heal now. But I was working with this woman, and she didn't want to really look at that aspect of the molestation. But when you commune with the universe and it's been brought to light, the universe has a very funny way of kind of pulling it then to the closest things to you. So I'd worked with her. She didn't really want to kind of further that and work on that. And a year later, it was not her daughter that had gotten molested, but it was all the daughter's best friends in her class that had been molested by the teacher. And so in the end, though the daughter had not been molested, she had more trauma than the girls that had actually been molested, based off of kind of what I had seen and the experience of time that had gone by. It was very much almost as if the daughter had been molested. But this is that intergenerational DNA, or the trauma that has been passed down, because the mother did not handle that trauma and heal that trauma. That once something that was perceived like that trauma, that cycled into the people that we love and that are closest to us. The messages get louder. There's no avoiding this. We got to heal ourselves, or it's just gonna get louder and louder and louder. It's just how it works. It works on cycles. So my thoughts on it, recognize them, look at them. You're getting clues all over the place. You could be in the grocery store and it's like, oh man, that person reminds me of my ex-stepdad. Why is that coming up? I need to let that go. What did I lose there? What did I leave behind? Why does that bother me today when I don't have that in my life? I need to let that go. I need to love myself here. I don't have that anymore. Isn't that rad? Look how badass I am. I recreated my life so that doesn't exist here. And the only way it exists here is if I hold on to that memory. And so that's kind of my thoughts on that. Did that kind of help? Jello, Jumbo, Joey, Jello to you. I've been letting go of a lot feelings of fear, shame, guilt, regret, and embarrassment. But I've been having a difficult time letting go of judgment. Yeah. How are you judging yourself on that? Is it judgment of yourself or is it judgment of others? It's really reprogramming. It's programming your mind. Like when you see that judgment crop up, pulling in the logic, and like I was saying, like when you place judgment, that reflects back not only onto you but onto those that you are judging. And so it's really just taking that responsibility. The fear, shame, guilt, regret, and embarrassment. I mean, you needed every one of those things to be exactly where you are right now. Every one of those things led you to exactly where you are right now. And you're a badass. And there's not anything that you could have done that is worth you hurting yourself farther. It's like cutting yourself, like the cutters. I used to be a cutter when I was much younger. But I found that I ended up doing it internally to myself once I stopped externally doing it, that I never actually really stopped. So really watching how you're cutting yourself, the shame, guilt, regret, and embarrassment, like it's not worth it. You can't go back and change. I mean, you could go back and change and rewrite that past if you want. You could go back to that embarrassing moment and meditate on making it a whole new story, and creating it's just a story. It's already made up anyway. Like the memory is all convoluted with all the emotional lenses and all that shit. So it's rewriting that story. And really, honestly, like we would not be here right now had we not done a profound amount of work. This is why we're part of the 1%. Most people aren't doing this work that we're doing. So you got to experience it. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Like with somebody that, like for me, when I talk about the anxiety, fear was like a big thing. When I did my first DMT trip, that's really what it showed me. The very first time I ever did it, it was like the most profoundly beautiful experience. And then I came back to myself, and I didn't know how long the DMT lasted. So like when I came back to my body, I hadn't realized that it was pretty much over. But when I walked out of that space and looked outside, it was so beautiful. So beautiful out there. I saw the fractal patterns of the growth of the trees, of the plants, of all. I saw I saw the 5 ratio everywhere, and it was incredible. I still can see that. But I was so scared. It was foreign, and it was different. And then I just had that overwhelming thing. It's like, dude, you're afraid of freaking everything. It's false evidence appearing real. When you build more and more confidence in yourself, you won't have those things to fear. The guilt or the regret, you had to take every step that you took to be right where you are. I could regret the heavy drinking that I did for 5 years in this relationship and how it affected other people. But the fact is it really mattered how it affected me. And then what I did to pull myself out of that space. I'm way more of a badass now. So what? I drank heavy for that time. So what? I get to live today, and I get a different, deeper appreciation for this life today. And that was a medicine that was teaching me something. So the judgment, man, yeah, it's choosing to think different. Stop doing that judgment. When I had that meditation where I had my judgment day, and I've shared this before, I did this meditation where all of a sudden I was like in the void space, and in front of me came Shiva, like the dancing Shiva, and it was an all red figure, like a neon red figure, and Shiva took me through, and it was my symbol set, Shiva was, and it took me through all the ways that I had loved wrong, all like my whole judgment day of my whole life, and it was the most hard, horrible, difficult thing to see. My manipulations and the lies and like trying to control and all of the negativities behind it. And it was like, yeah, going through each one of my judgment states, but each thing that Shiva was showing me at that moment, after each one, it would be like I was knocked down to the ground with just despair and guilt and shame and regret and all those things. I can't believe it, because my whole life I wanted it to be about love. And so every time I would just pop back up and I would look right back at Shiva. Again, I love you. Again, I love you. Again, I love you. No matter how hard it was, I had to keep seeing until it was done. And the next thing I know, this lightning bolt goes down my throat, and then I'm pulled back out of that space, and there's Vishnu right in front of me, the golden figure. This is like the godlike figure, and then they took me through how all my intentions were about love, and that even if I had shown how to love wrong to all of those people, the intention had been spoken. And then they had turned around, and every person, not only every person that I had loved, but the ripple effects of everyone that it touched, which was like everyone pretty much, stood there, and their hearts beamed, that green beam, straight back at me with like most loving faces upon them, like the Care Bear stare with their hearts that were green. And it was that the intention had been there, that I was doing just the best I ever could with the knowledge and information that I had, and to keep beating myself up for that was just fucking bullshit, man. So stop it. You choose to stop it, because you're worth more than that, and you deserve more than that. You are a beautiful, magnificent creator, and so much more than that. You just got to get out of your own way and learn to balance those things. And you had to go through every one of those things in order for you to understand the balancing difference. You've got to do that. You got to do that. And that meditation, when I came back from it, I wasn't the same person. Ever. I like walked different. I talked different. Everything was different about me. And everyone that I loved were scared of me because I was different. Go back, look at my pictures. It's like, I'm not the same person. I woke up a totally different person after that. But I knew in that moment, the judgment day was actually here. Like everything they talked about in Revelations and Bibles and all that kind of shit. Like, this is judgment day, man. Everyone out there in that reality seemed like they were judging everybody else and everything else, and everyone had an opinion about this or that. Judgment Day is already here. Like, what did we imagine Judgment Day to actually look like? This is horrible. When a mother sits and judges you, when a best friend sits and judges you, people that you're supposed to love you more than anything. Why in this space of sacred love does that exist? So it stops with you. stops with you so they learn how to stop doing it too. They get that DNA, they get that information. When you heal that trauma, they get that information. It is pretty amazing to watch my family and to see the changes and the acceptance that has come into this picture. But it took me abandoning in order to get there. But I had to find me. And we get that opportunity to do that together now. I love you. I just finished listening to you and Robert. So great. Wait, was there a video or something? I don't know what you're talking about, Brittany. Like the video that Robert put together? Or maybe you're talking about somebody else. Oh, I did miss some things back up here. Anyway, cool. I'm glad that you just watched that. Yeah, okay, so coming back here, that's amazing, Jasmine. Yes, it's amazing, Jasmine. Amazing. And I love you too, Jasmine. Trauma can be passed down from epigenetics. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I say, if you stuff your issues, they go into your tissues. And so it's not just like, epigenetics. So you can have like things like lupus or fibromyalgia or different ailments, MS, that can actually be past genetic traumas. So when I am doing my whole medical intuit and taking people through these diagnoses, we are actually healing those genetic traumas. Yeah, I asked that a while ago. Yeah. Well, I went on for even more. I'm very judgmental. I'm working on it. Yeah. And what does it mean to work on it? Yeah. And to stay disciplined to that. And I highly recommend. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're looking at that. That's really good. Oh, Joey just came in here and he has something in a bowl. Is it watermelon, Joey?
Nope.
No. Okay. Something to eat. Something to eat. Thank you so much, Joey. I love you. Oh, man. That was a rad surprise. Yeah, and with judgment, yeah, no, it is, it's very fascinating because, again, it creates those emotional lenses so that I was talking to my friend the other day. The girl that I talk about often here, the one that was dying of the liver, she drank herself pretty much to death. So her liver had shut down and her kidneys, she was in total renal failure. And she survived that. And we did a lot of work. And we were talking on the phone, and she had not listened to any of these videos I put together. And there's no pressure, man. Like, it's not about that at all. But she had this judgment on herself. So that by the end of the phone call, she brought up the fact that wondered if I had been distant with her. And this is the thing, when you stand in your truth, like, I don't expect people to watch this. Like especially the people closest to me are probably the people that most likely aren't going to be the ones to watch it. So there's no expectation in that place. And I know this, and I know what my truth is in that space. And so to be able to sit with her and be like, well, Alyssa, you brought up the fact, and there was a lot of guilt and judgment that she had on herself for not watching any of this. And I was able to just like kind of redirect that so that it would be like, well, let's talk about the emotional lenses that could be put in place. Because really the conversation was going fine. And then when this was brought up, then all of a sudden this thing happened. And it was the emotional lenses. And so the judgments, it's really like so that you're able to show up as the best and highest version of yourselves. It's just stopping doing that and continue to work on it and keep that discipline is a very important thing. So good, Brittany. I'm glad that you're doing that. Judgment can be a tough one sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, it can. Sure. Yeah, it's like I'm not going to judge whether it's tough or easy. And it is just that, you know. However, it's a perspective, and when you stop blaming the external reality or yourself in these magnitudes, judgment becomes easier. That's just reality. So if you keep on doing the work, it becomes easier as you go along. I think Elaine Devon said it well as well. He goes, "There's a lot of lovable idiots out there." And I like that. A lot of times I can be a bit of a lovable idiot. I love you too, Willow. So much gratitude for all that you do. Well, so much gratitude for all that you do too. I love you guys all so much. This is awesome. So cool. And Robert posted a meditation with you. Oh my gosh. That is awesome, Robert. Okay, I'm going to have to go check that out. I did not really get on social media today, and not at all today. And I kind of was beating myself up because yesterday I like posted some stuff, and it's just really getting the like balance of getting my own like stuff out there. So no, I can't wait to watch it. Oh, that's so exciting. Loved it. Oh, Robert, thank you. I can't wait. That is awesome. I'm going to slide back up a little bit higher on these comments because I think that there was, when I was reading Jasmine's comments, there was comments in between. And we were talking about the animals that we saw, so I would like to see on that aspect as well. So we had seen a squirrel today, and then Willow said here, oh, we already read that one. You said it's a total perspective shift when you start looking at your parents as people instead of your parents. Yes, Willow. Yes. One of my biggest realizations, like I came to, because I was the latchkey kid, where my mom always worked and wouldn't get home till, like dinner time, so around 6 o'clock at night. So starting like very young. And then very similar at my dad's. He would work all day, and so I had a lot of alone time starting very young, like 4 years old. And when I look back on my life where I realized that they did me like the most solid, did me a solid, I'll just leave it with that, where I realized how much I hadn't needed my parents, not in the way that society told me, that I was able to feed myself, clothe myself, do chores. Like you couldn't believe, like the Cinderella story we made reference to is like a huge part of my life, and it just really gave me this whole new perspective. And when I really like let the parents off the hook and just saw my parents as just people and they were just doing the best they could, it brought about a massive amount of compassion and forgiveness and whatever else needed to be filled into that space to just let it be. This is who they are and where they're at. So I love that, Willow. I've seen a crow, bees, chipmunk, vole, and a moth. Okay, there's the moth again. So we didn't pull the moth in totally before, so we'll do that. And crow, not surprising, bees, chipmunk. Did we end up pulling the chipmunk into the meditation the other day? I know we talked about it, and we read about it, and the fun play of the chipmunk. Chipmunks are really rad. Okay. So the vole is still coming to you. I love it. There's a lot of critters. Okay, so the squirrel and the chipmunk are very similar medicines, but they're kind of different. So I think maybe pulling in a squirrel and a chipmunk playing would be really fun. And voles are really rad too. The thing with the vole, I don't know if many of you, when we did kind of like learning about them, because I had just seen one for the first time, have really rad medicine as well. But yeah, I mean, we could pull in any of these critters. Any of these critters are really, really good. I don't think that my animal medicine book has a moth. I definitely have seen moths, not today, but like last night, there definitely was a moth. I don't think that moth was in here because it has the butterfly. And even though they're different medicines, dun, 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 dun. No. Okay. It's kind of weird now because on this, my phone is recording all of this, so before I would just look down at my phone and do it, but now I can like just pull it up on the computer. So this is not. It's so funny. Sometimes it pulls up crossing, and I think there's like a video game or something when you look up Animal Crossing. I'm not totally sure on that, but So the moth animal totem symbolism. Although moths have symbolism that is similar to that of the butterflies, there are several distinctive differences. Because moths are nocturnal animals, they represent several elements that directly contradict those of diurnal butterflies. Wisdom of the other world, knowledge, clairvoyance, and secrets. Also, like with the moths, is like a moth drawn to the flame. So really that fire is something that really, really drives them. And again, it's navigating those shadows, the night. I love the koan that says, you say you're not blind, but can you see in the dark? And I don't know, I'm pretty sure I told you guys, I used to be like horribly afraid of moths. No other critters. Like I grew up with all critters, like playing with them. But up until like I went to the jungle, like I was horribly afraid of them. But I think it was just that medicine. It's like, do your shadow work, do your shadow work. But they'd always like just fly at my face and it just freaked me out. I remember I was sitting in a meeting once and I swear this huge moth just came in and there's like 20 people sitting around and sure enough just flies right in my face. But it's because you create that too. You're like, don't fly at my face, and it doesn't hear don't. It's like, oh, fly at your face. That's what I'm going to do. But clairvoyance and secrets. Nocturnal creatures have nighttime inclinations and tendencies that have specific spiritual and philosophical meanings themselves. Because they conduct their life-sustaining activities and practices in complete darkness, they are highly reliant on sensory perception and are vulnerable. They navigate the night by using their awareness and inner knowing. This is so huge, and especially like tapping into that inner knowing, keeping that awareness. This is like with the SolarPlexus meditation that we're going to be doing today, really like tapping into that inner knowing is going to be right there in the gut, trusting your gut instincts. You may relate to a different element from what your sun sign, zodiac sign element is. Take this in depth. 4 elements per whatever that is. This like ad. Even when its efforts towards light prove dangerous and futile, the moth continues to drive forward, demonstrating its faith and determination. It is vigilant in following the path toward light, teaching us that we too should be. We must remain vigilant in all of our pursuits while keeping our intuition and judgments intact. Faith is important, but blind faith with no grounding is foolish. Yeah, so making sure that we stay grounded. We must pay attention to the signs that are attempting to speak to us. In all of our quests, we need to take care not to fall victim to blind faith and ignorance. I like with ignorance, it's really like the word broken down is ignorance. So you're ignoring something. And blind faith is funny because like being raised Mormon, they'd always be like, oh, just have blind faith, you know, and I don't fall victim to it. Question everything. The moth teaches us that adjusting our course when necessary is equally as important as driving forward on the path. When a moth symbol presents itself to you, it should be interpreted as a reminder to be aware of how you are carrying yourselves. Moths are symbols of concealment, which can be interpreted in both good and bad ways. As a master of disguise, the moth meaning symbolizes that you could be hiding from yourself. Ooh. You may be disguising your emotions, keeping yourself hidden from others. If this is the case, you must develop faith and trust in yourself and allow your lift to emerge from the darkness. Our hearts are our ultimate guide, and the moth reminds us that we should not disguise it. Oh gosh, this is so good. This is such a good medicine right now. The moth spiritual totem associates itself with the optimistic people who can find the silver lining in any situation, however dark it may be. Its presence encourages us to develop the ability to seek out the positive in any situation, using our intuition and psychic awareness. We can do this by paying attention to small details, practicing good listening skills, and being a solid companion to those in our lives. And that solid companion, you guys, it's got to be with you first. And that's, I think I was hearing some people talk about being a recluse yesterday. And sometimes we do. We recluse ourselves so that we can put ourselves back out there. But there's that balance of, you know, pulling that hermit card, where sometimes, you know, you got to go in to be able to go out. But the practicing good listening skills and being a solid companion to those in our lives. if you want to have good listening skills, being stuck in your traumas is going to be a giant hindrance for you to even be able to be there and show up for those that you love. You're not being there for you if you are replaying that over and over. So, subtlety is also an important symbol of the moth. Subtlety, excuse me, is specifically with the female moth. Females attract males with a subtle use of pheromones. I think as females probably do that. They are confident in their ability to draw male attention and need not be overt and aggressive in the process. Humans can take a simple lesson in the subtle art of allure. I like it. Like many other spiritual animals, a moth spirit guide's presence in your dreams serves as a signal. Generally, it is a signal for you to pay attention to minor and seemingly unimportant details and take care not to overlook things. Awareness is key. Small things can quickly turn huge and catastrophic if not given due attention. And it is like if we made every decision like our life depended on it, because it does, life would be very, very different. So it can be the smallest things, you guys. It was like today, Zach was telling me a very personal story about himself. We got home and I realized that the dogs did not have water outside. So as he's telling me the story, I decide to just like walk outside and do the water. Instead of taking that moment to honor what he was saying to me, like literally displaced a conversation that was important to me, because I felt that watering the dogs at that very moment was of a higher priority. I lost the conversation, if you will, because I decided to do something different. And so it's really paying attention to the smallest of details, learning how to listen and show care for those that we love, and also to listen and show care for ourselves. That's why it's balancing the emotional to the logic. Emotionally, I saw that my dogs needed water. Oh no, it's hot outside. Now, turning around, but logically speaking, they're okay. They're not at the water dish begging for it right now, but do you know where I'm at right now is really getting this very important dialogue. There's this mindset where you can learn that balance and really pay attention. The moth symbolism may also be suggesting that there is some unseen irritation boiling inside of you. If you do not dig deeply inside into yourself and identify it, it may not surface until it's too late. Along with this, the moth sometimes symbolizes a weakness. Yeah, so pay attention. Why it flies at your face. And yeah, the irritation and boiling that is going on inside of you. This is why I talk about finding ways to express yourself so that you don't just blow your top when these seemingly minor irritations could come into play. It's just really like learning the balance of paying attention. It can be a flaw in your character that can lead to your demise if you allow it to. As a fragile creature, the moth symbolizes a fragile state of mind and attempts to encourage us to take a step back, allow ourselves to heal, and move forward toward a positive life. Oh my gosh, guys, what a great message from the moth. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. So good. So, yeah, we've gotten the crows. The crows, I mean, we can definitely bring the crow back in. This is navigating the void. I think even when we place ourselves in the meditation, the crow is also a trickster and has play inside of there. And they're very, very smart creatures. So we can definitely bring a crow in. The crow will always kind of be part of that because of the void. In front of me, fading out. Oh, wait, sorry. We already read all that. I saw an owl this morning. Ooh. Ooh. I like it. The owl has really been coming up. What kind of owl was it? We've been having a white owl flying overhead. I still need to post that white owl picture. I love owls. They are amazing. The owl number is 21, and it's on page 121. 121. I love it. And I open right to it. Here we go. Owl magic omens, time and space. Does the truth emerge? Casting out deception, silent flight, sacred medicine bird. So it's deception. So the owl is deception. That's interesting. What's going on in your life, Jacob? What's happening? Why is the owl coming to you? Owl medicine is symbolically associated with clairvoyance. There's clairvoyance again. So we have the moth and also the owl. And it's opening up our clairvoyant abilities that we all have. Astral projection and magic, both black and white. Owl is called night eagle on several medicine wheels used by Amerindian teachers. Traditionally, owl sits in the east, the place of illumination. Oh yeah, the owl, like the east itself. That's where the sun rises and the moon rises. Since time immemorial, why can't I do this? I can say this. Immemorial. I don't know why that was so hard. Since time immemorial, humanity had been afraid of the night, the dark, and the unseen. And we're coming right back to the night. We're talking about the shadows, and we're going there. And we're not afraid, guys, because we got this together. We're in this together. Even though it's you that has to do the work, but you're not alone. So, has been afraid of the night, the dark, and the unseen, waiting fearfully for the first crack of the morning light. Conversely, night is owl's friend. Owl hunts its prey at night. Not only can owl see in the dark, it can also accurately pinpoint and identify any sound. This gives it a great advantage when seeking food. Owls are the night hunters. Some native people are fearful of owl and call its feathers deceiver feathers. Interesting. Huh. An owl feather is silent. You cannot hear owls when it flies, but its prey definitely knows when it strikes, for its beak and talons are razor sharp. So I will post this picture of the owl I drew, and I also have a white owl feather that is, like, I already have the picture taken. I just need to put it up for you guys. If you've ever seen an owl feather, like, it's fuzzy. It's different than, like, normal feathers, like, kind of have a sheen. Like, literally, it's fuzzy. It's very interesting. So it's weird that they're saying, not weird, I mean, I guess they're saying deceiver feathers, and it's deception. But yeah, I mean, a deceiver in the sense that it's so silent. It's made itself so silent. But yeah, owl feathers are really rad. I hope every one of you finds an owl feather in your life. Oh my gosh, they're rad. Owl is oftentimes the medicine of sorcerers and witches. If owl is your medicine, you will be drawn to magical practices and perhaps explore the dark arts. You should resist any temptation to practice black magic or any art that takes energy away from another person or being. If you have owl medicine, these night birds will have a tendency to collect around you, even in the daytime, because they recognize a kinship with you. Is it any wonder that in many cultures, owl is a symbol for wisdom? This is because owl can see that which others cannot, which is the essence of true wisdom. Where others are deceived, owl sees and knows what is there. Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, had a companion owl on her shoulder, which revealed unseen truths to her. Owl had the ability to light up Athena's blind side, enabling her to speak the whole truth as opposed to only a half-truth. See, and there comes the truth. Of course the owl is coming out with us right now. Oh my gosh, this is so rad, you guys. It's talking about speaking our truths, navigating our shadows. Oh my gosh, I love this. If owl is your personal medicine, no one can deceive you about what they are doing, no matter how they try to disguise or hide it from you. You may be a little frightening to be around since so many people have ulterior motives, which you see right through. And it's true, like, the more you do this work, like, certain people just won't come around, and it's because they know you can see. Like, it's not that you're, like, you don't have to be in judgment. You just see the pattern. You just see the pattern and how it plays out. And that's it. It's why you can talk to a dear friend and be like, no, man, I don't feel any different. I love you, and we're still here, you know, and you help them navigate. You know what's yours and what's somebody else's. If you are unaware of your medicine power, you may take your keen insights and abilities for granted. Others never do. You may frighten them and reflect their blindness, for you cannot be fooled. Owl medicine people know more about an individual's inner life than the person knows about herself or himself. If you have pulled the owl card, you are being asked to use your powers of keen, silent observation to intuit some life situation. Owl is befriending you and aiding you in seeing the total truth. Owl can bring you messages in the night through dreams or meditation. Yay. Pay attention to the signals and omens. The truth always brings further enlightenment. On the contrary, if you have an owl upside down in your cards, you have been greatly deceived by either yourself or another. Perhaps witchcraft or black magic is being used against you, or maybe you are using witchcraft or sorcery to aid you when you should be praying and asking the Great Spirit for guidance. When it comes to magic, you guys, and spells and witchcraft and all that kind of stuff, if you are speaking or even thinking, you are spelling your reality. We all have this power within us. Magic, yes, it exists. The more work you do, you'll start to see it more as a mechanic than a magic. But there is great power at our fingertips all around. The message is to befriend the darkness inside of yourself. See, that's what I'm saying. Befriend yourself. The darkness and the light. Whether it's good, bad, shameful, whatever it is, man, you did the best you could. You're rad. You're a badass. And that side of you needs love too. It totally needs it. Look deeply, and soon the bright light of dawn will illuminate you. Then ask yourself what you are in the dark about. How and by whom are you being deceived? Have you lied to yourself about someone or something? Are you being greatly deceived or just slightly deceived? Owl tells you to keep an eye on your property and your loved ones. Remember, the owl is always asking, who? I love that. I'll probably do that every time I read it. Who? Okay, that was very, very good. I love that. And yeah, that's the, yes, owl meditation, definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Jacob. I was just thinking about owls. Yeah, I've been thinking about owls as well. And they've been flying over. I'm starting to realize, oh, yeah, we read that, Jasmine. Jen, what are your thoughts? Oh, yeah, I forgot I went back up, you guys. Yes. Okay, good. All right. Oh, is Kevin here? Oh, hi, Kevin. Whoa. Okay, all right. So now we're back to this. Love you, Jen. So much gratitude that you do. Love you. Oh, that's what you're talking about. And loved it. Okay. Love you all so much. Oh, my gosh. I love you all so much, too. And rainbows and bubbles. I love that. I'm sending you all so many rainbows and bubbles and love bursts right now. Moths are huge in the sight community. The big lunas. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I've come very far in my love and understanding of moths. Very, very powerful. At Willow, what's a vole? A mole. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you ended up answering that, Willow. But Brittany, like the other night, I was listening to the Boys' podcast, and I was just sitting outside, and this little, like, mouse-like creature that, if it's put up to my face, it was like about this big, like the size of a mole, if you will. And it had like mouse-like ears, but it was just furry. Like they were more furry ears. And then another thing that was slightly different is that it had this shorter tail. And when I was looking at it, I was like, gosh, you look like a mouse, but you're not, and you're definitely not a rat. What are you? And so I ended up doing like research online, and it ended up being a vole. And here in California, voles went extinct, and they ended up reintroducing them back in like 2015. So they're not like totally common. And granted, they're little critters. They reproduce a lot. But they are super cute. And this vole just like came right up to me, like as interested in me as I was it. It was really, really rad. So anyway, it's rare here in California, but it sounds like there's a lot of voles up where Willow is, which is up in Canada, in Ottawa, Canada. So anyway, the vole's animal medicine is the vole's intuition and possible nose told it the yard was safe. The vole, while destructive to plants, is quite the fertile rodent. It symbolizes both destruction and rebirth. Often we have to tear down negative thought patterns or habits to move forward in our lives. So, yeah, that is really cool. I'm going to boop boop put that right. Control B. Boop. There. That is the medicine for you. Know all about the blind faith. Yes, Jasmine. I bet you do. All religions. I think it was a barn owl. Not sure. It was flying and it was dark out, but looked bigger than a barn owl. Ah, cool. You know, up in Washington this summer, like in Leavenworth, I ended up seeing a pygmy owl. Has anyone out there seen a pygmy owl before? Oh my gosh. I was just walking along the path and it was just right after this rainstorm and it was like the most brilliant smells I had ever smelled, and I was just like running around on these trails in awe. It's so delicious. And next thing I know, this little bird about the size of a robin, maybe a little bit smaller, like comes flying by and lands in a tree right next to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what kind of bird are you? And I look at it and I'm like, it almost was like a little hawk, but it definitely wasn't a little hawk, and it was like this gray color. And then it turns its head all the way around and looks right at me. And I was like, only owls turn their heads all the way around. Oh my gosh. And I'm like trying to figure out, are you a baby owl? No, you don't seem like a baby. You get this sense. And it turned out it was a pygmy owl. They have miniature owls up in Washington. And I'm wondering how many of you have ever seen that or even heard of pygmy owls. But barn owls are really cool, and barn owls are really cool. All owls are really, really cool. But anyway, my little side story on my pygmy owl. My brother used to have an owl that followed him around. It was a small brown owl. He'd whistle and the owl would show up wherever he was. When he left Texas, I saw the old owl dead on the street. Wow. Wow. Yeah. His companion. Wow. Well, that's a really rad story, you know. Like I was saying, even like with the bees and stuff, that they come and they deliver their medicines, and there was a reason that you found that the owl was dead. I wonder what the relationship when your brother left, like what was going on within you, and based off of deception or wisdom, there's like some medicines in there, and have you actually deciphered that yet? There's a lot of messages within that space, because there's a reason that you ended up finding this owl dead. And sometimes we get really sad, like, oh, the owl was dead. Look at this beautiful story. But the reality is that it was wrapping something up for you, and it was delivering a specific message for you, and it honored it's honoring its life and its messages, and there's reasons that happens, and like these stories like that, like you can't take away the fact that you saw the radness of this owl always coming when your brother whistled. Anytime you close your eyes, you can remember that. So I'd be interested to hear how much you've broken down on that and what was really happening within your relationship and dynamic with your brother. So greetings, beautiful souls. Ah, yes, there you are, Kevin. I saw you. Apologies for being late. I've been singing, cutting vocal tracks. That is awesome. No, I was talking about creation, Kevin. Like create. You were perfectly on time, exactly when you were supposed to be here. Yay, I love you, and I'm happy you're here, and I'm happy you're creating. I just bought an owl wax warmer from Scentsy. Nice. There's an owl that camps outside my window periodically throughout the year. Oh, that is really cool, Kevin. Very cool. I heart my darkness. Yes, Kevin. I love it. Oh, man, I love you too, man. I do. We have lots of voles, but they are much smaller than the ones in California. Oh, interesting. Oh, man. If you could get a picture, Willow, ever, I would love to see a picture. I love it. Oh, yeah, I put that up there. That's what the vole symbolizes. I feel drawn. I don't know if I showed you my owl picture before, if the camera was all wonky, so I'm going to grab that and show you guys. we can pull that out. So, see if I can do this. Oop. Maybe I take this off. Oop. There we go. Yeah. Yay. Okay. So anyway, I love owls too. Owls are really rad, really wonderful medicine that they share with us. Very much so. That's interesting. I guess the whale wanted to pop up too. Okay. Put this back carefully. It's pastels, so I have to be careful with the drawings so that they don't get all smudged. Okay, all right. So, he felt the owl was dead. He had an owl tattoo before the owl showed up. After the owl encountered, I went my own way and ended up becoming a mother. It could have been our deep connection coming to its end so that we can make our own connection with ourselves. Yeah, see? It's like we can get wrapped up on the, womp womp, the owl died, but the reality is it's this beautiful of a story where you were able to, end one relationship to create a new and allow for the new creation. And it is very powerful when we tattoo, like when or draw, like these are our sigils. So these animals very much feel the connection and honoring that spirit. And so that's really, really cool. We both went on a self-discovery journey. That's where we're at now. The telepathic connection we used to have fizzled out around that time. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes these people that we want to have in our lives, that we think like brothers, sisters, cousins, these sometimes they're just not supposed to be there forever. And these connections are really real. And the universe is making way and room for something even grander than that. And perhaps they come back. I always keep my door and my heart open for any of my siblings that want to come, but or family members. And I would love the idea of being able to have the clairvoyant connections and all of that kind of stuff. But the reality is, if I just get stuck on the attachment that no, it has to be with this one person, I'm going to miss the next one that's going to step in and take that place. I mean, it's fascinating to see like the people that are in my life now that it's like, oh, whoa, you're the better version of this. You're the better version of that. And I still love them, I still love them. And I honor the fact that they taught me that I could do that. And that existed. And so I'm sorry and not sorry that fizzled out, because there was a reason, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And maybe he comes back, or maybe the grander version of your brother is already right in front of you. I love you. Whale, did you say Whale wanted to pop up too? Space Arrow and Holly had whales on her show today. Oh, that's funny. Okay. All right, you can see the whale drawing too. Okay, I know you guys have seen 2 of these before if you went back. Let me take that off. Anyway, so I guess Whale wanted to pop back up into the reality of this as well. And Whale is wisdom. And so it's not surprising because, then you have the owl that's also wisdom. And the watery emotions that we're talking about. So, yay. All right, guys. Aw, thanks, Brittany. I appreciate that. Yeah, the art is fun. Art is super fun. Okay, so let's do this, you guys. So it sounds like because the whale has popped up, let's pull whale in there, and the owl. 41201. Okay, so whale of mighty oceans, you have seen it all. Secrets of the ages are heard within your call. Teach me how to hear your words and how to understand the very roots of history of when our world began. And the whale is a record keeper. I'll just read it really quick. Whale is very much like a swimming library. Whale carries the history of Mother Earth and is said to have been placed here by the ancients from the dog star Sirius. And I think it's really nice actually that we're going to pull whale in, and the reason being is because it is very earthly and grounding, and then also navigating the emotions because it's a watery animal. And we're talking about that. So learning to honor the emotions, but also bringing in the logic of the mind. And so, even having the owl and the wisdom that comes with that, and being able to see through the deceptions, whether it's from ourselves or through others. So I think that all of these spirits are really are panning out to go very well. And the vole is really great because, again, it's balancing that light and dark. And that's right where we're at. Biologists say that the whale is a mammal and very possibly lived on land millions of years ago. In tribal legend, whales' move into the ocean happened when the earth shifted and Lemuria, the motherland, went below the waves. I shared with you guys before when I read this. I have distinct memory, like past life kind of regression of actually being the whale that walked on land, and it was when Lemuria sunk. And that's why when I first read this with you guys, I was like, what the fuck? I just told you this story. And it went on to say it. So that was really, really cool. But yeah, the crystal skulls, that's how the 7 crystal skulls were able to get out and disperse. The 7 crystal skulls hold much information, and also, basing off of the 7 chakras, like tons of information in there. But that's how, like, when they sunk, that there were 7 people that were spread out. And so when it was sinking, this is how they were able to get away. This is my memory. All of our petroglyphs speak of the motherland, Mu, and the disaster that brought the red race to North America from the west beyond the great waters. The symbols in the petroglyphs speak of the rivers and mountains crossed by our ancestors when they sought solid ground as the water receded. Whale saw the events that led to the settling of a turtle island, North America, and has kept the record and knowledge of the motherland alive. It is said that Mu will rise again when the fire comes from the sky and lands in another ocean on Mother Earth. The native medicine people are waiting for this event as the next sign of Earth changes. Earth's children will have to unite and honor all ways and all races in order to survive. Yeah, I kind of see that happening right now. What do you guys think? Whale medicine people are coded in their DNA to understand that sound frequencies can bring up records and the memories of ancient knowledge. This is that DNA stuff, guys. Like, literally, like, in our coding, we have this, whether we were, like, different animals or plants. Like, when I did ayahuasca, I was like, yeah, this was always in me. Like, that was really kind of, like, my reaction. Like, it was, like, that had always been there. So, the information is always right here. They are usually clairaudient or able to hear both very low and very high frequencies. They are usually also physically developed and fairly telepathic. Many times, however, they are not awakened to their gifts until it is time to use the stored records. Many whale medicine people are able to tap into the universal mind of Great Spirit and have no idea how or why they know what they know. Only later, when they receive confirmation, do they begin to understand how they know or why they receive the impressions. Whale medicine teaches us to use the sounds and frequencies that balance our emotional bodies and heal our physical forms. To recall why the shaman's drum brings healing and peace is to align with whale's message. The drum is the universal heartbeat and aligns all beings heart to heart. Before the advent of speech in the primordial language, hand signs were used and many tribes were silent most of the time. The language that was understood was the sounds of great spirits, other creatures, the animals. I just saw this. Boom. Sound frequencies. Yes, Kevin. I love it. If you pulled the whale card, you are being asked to tap into these records and to allow yourself to be sung to by those who have the original language. We are the only creatures who do not have our own unique cry or call. Find yours. Allow your voice to use this sound to release tension or emotion. And that's that release stuff, man. Find it. Yeah, find your own to be able to get that out so you don't just pop your top. Whale signals a time of finding your origins or seeing your overall destiny as coded in your DNA. So glad we're reading this. Thank you, Brittany. Like, serious. And of finding the sounds that will release those records. You may never be the same again. After all, you are the melody of the universe. What is stronger than light? I keep telling you this. It is sound. It comes down to sound. And the harmony is the song of the other creatures. In using your voice to open your memory, you are expressing your uniqueness and your personal sound. As you open to this uniqueness, the animals that are your 9 totems may then sound or send their sounds or calls to you or through you. I felt that. This will open your personal records so that you may further explore your soul's history and commune with Whale, who carries the history of us all. If Whale has beached itself in your cards, the contrary medicine implies that you are not following your sonar or homing device. On some level, you have forgotten that you hold all the answers you need to survive, to grow, and to claim the power of your chosen destiny. Your chosen destiny. Take your free will back. We're not operating with free will. Let's get it. It may be that you are having to deal with a lot of chatter in your head and cannot get to your own personal records. If so, you may need to use your sounds to enter the silence. The drum or rattle, the Indian flute, or the sounds of nature may help. And we'll play the Indian flute for you today, so this will help. The call of Whale is the lullaby of the tides. Rock yourself gently and float into the world of the sea. Flow with the waters of time and collect your answers. They are the only truth that will lead to your personal pathway of knowing. Contrary Whale is saying that you must desire to know. You must seek the whale song within you. In hearing Whale's call, you will connect to the ancients on a cellular level. And then as you relax into the flow of the song's rhythm, you will begin to open your unique library of records. It may not come all at once. It may take practice, but if you hold the desire to know close to your heart, it will be Whale's gift to you. Look at the great star nation and send gratitude to Sirius for the song of the whale. And you have the doggy, like Sirius is the dog star. So, oh man, that's rad. I never get tired of reading Whale. It's so relevant to the time where is now. Yeah, that we're totally in now. I totally agree with that. That and it's my totem, LOL. And it's my totem too. I never get tired of it. I just feel like no matter how many times I read it, it's like, oh, and there's this other thing, and there's this other thing. My chosen destiny, odd. My daughter's name is Destiny, Destony. That's interesting. I see that you have Brittoni, where it's Tony. My dad's name is Tony, so it's just kind of like that's the little spark of interest. Too is why the Tony and tone. What's really cool about that is tone. Yeah, and talking about that. So I mean, our names are our blessings and our curses, and changing it to instead of the normal spelling with the A-N-Y, any. The tone itself is kind of getting pulled into there. Not that you can't do it with the other spelling, but it just is really straight to it. Oh, it's Greek. Brittoni Riona. Ah, is Riona your last name? And is Faye your middle name? Is it Brittoni Faye Riona? That's beautiful. I love our names. I love it, you guys, when you share your full names and all that kind of stuff. That is really beautiful. And, that is really, really beautiful. I love it. Love it. Brad, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you. Okay. Cool. So, we have the moth, the whale, and the owl. We also... Because... Let's do this. Chipmunk. Chipmunk animal totem is said to be a symbol of something good. It's on its way to you. With that said, it's the animal's behavior and appearance that holds the teaching for us. Chipmunk has an innate curiosity which allows him to be adventurous. I like it. So keeping it keeping ourselves curious and adventurous. So especially with this meditation, pulling that in, Just being adventurous within that space. When you're connecting your DNA and your bandwidth with them, I like to bring play inside of that space and the curiosity of what they have to show you and teach you. One of my biggest connects when I connect with animals is that I literally clear my mind and I'm like, oh, I have this really rad thing I can do. Watch this, and I just silence my mind. Anything that they want to show me at that point, it just comes clear. The messages just flow in. So. Play. The squirrel, 141 is 26. Here we go. Squirrel, you have gathered nuts by the score. Exactly, exactly predicting if you'll need more. Teach me to take no more than I need. Trusting great mystery to harvest the seed. So it's about gathering. Squirrel teaches you to plan ahead for the winter when the trees are bare and the nuts have long since disappeared. And this is like that logic. So it's also like pulling in logic. Squirrel medicine can come in many forms, as this furry creature is very diverse in nature. The erratic behavior of squirrel has bested many a forlorn hunter, and it thus stands to reason that there are benefits to being able to circle a branch at lightning speed. This erratic behavior of squirrel can also get nerve-wracking if you are dealing with persons who have squirrel medicine. Trying to calm them down enough to accomplish something may drive you nuts. I don't know if any of you have met or worked with many of the squirrel, like animal medicine people, but yeah, it can. But again, walk away from the judgment and just love right where they are. The gathering power of squirrel medicine is a great gift. It teaches you how to gather and store your energy for times of need. It teaches you to reserve something for future use, whether it be a judgment, an opinion, a savings account, candles, or extra food. To put it in a nutshell, squirrel is the Boy Scout of the animal kingdom, always prepared. In today's world of changing times and fortunes, it is the wise person who prepares for the future. Oh my gosh, we're totally talking about all the future stuff, you guys. Our prophecies have all spoken of the end of the millennium and the changes to come. Squirrel is a friendly medicine to have in light of possible future rainy days. Its message is to be prepared, but not to go nuts with it. Love yourself enough to gather the goods that will meet your needs in times of scarcity, even if that time never comes. If squirrel has scurried into your cards today, it may be that you are being told to honor your future by readying yourself for change. The message could be to lighten your load if you have gathered too many things that do not serve you. These things can include thoughts, worries, pressures, stresses, or gadgets, or past traumas, guys, that have been broken for years. In understanding the balance involved in gathering, you need to look at the idea of circulating the stock of what you have gathered. Call the nearest thrift store and give the gadgets to someone who can benefit from them. If something no longer grows corn for you, then it is time to let it go. Yes, I would agree. I'm the person that sold everything that I owned and went out on the road. So, yes, let it go. I promise. Super worth. Squirrel has another lesson which can aid you if you observe what is obvious, and which can prepare you for anything. It has to do with a safe place in which to put your gatherings. This safe place is an untroubled heart and mind, and that which is gathered to put in this place is wisdom and caring. The energies gathered will set your mind and heart free so that you will know that all will be taken care of in its own time. Apply this to your fears about the future and they will vanish. So again, contrary. The contrary medicine of the squirrel is the hoarder, a fearful person who expects the worst and is stuck in waiting. Waiting for something to happen is a trap. No action equals stagnation, but a little of the squirrel's erratic energy might get this moving. If squirrel is hanging upside down on your branch, you may have begun seeing the world through opposites. Hoarding your thoughts of abundance so that fear of scarcity takes hold, you may ask yourself, 1, have I denied my ability to produce enough space for abundance to enter into my life? 2, have I denied my connection to the Earth Mother from whom all things flow? 3, in moving too fast, have I taken an erratic nature of squirrel without having any focus? 4, am I leaking my energy on worry instead of gathering power through being prepared? Remember, one of the squirrel family gathered the energy of eagle and connected to the Great Spirit. Now this squirrel can fly. Oh my gosh, now it's wings. Okay, more wings coming in. All right, I love this. I love this. Faye is my maiden name. I love it. And Rayona, my middle, and you said it correctly. Awesome. I love it. That is beautiful. Brittany Rayona. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that is such a gorgeous name. It really is. Wow. And there's just a resonance with that. There just is. Gosh, you guys have such rad names. I love you. I love you all. I love you, love you. Okay. All right. So, with that, guys, we're going to pull in the solar plexus with our meditations today. And we're just going down with it. So we're going to circle in, of course, bringing the heart, because as above, so below. So we're going to bring in the heart, the solar plexus, and then down below, we're going to then gather with the sacral chakra. Also, with all of the meditations, rooting is important. Keeping ourselves grounded through this. With any of the breathing exercises that we're doing, again, we want to keep all of that inside. So breathing in through your nose and exhaling through your nose, keeping your tongue rested on top of your mouth. And while your eyes are closed, you can raise your eyes and look up at your third eye. Is also a focal point. It's a lot to think about but you don't need to necessarily do that. But it's really thinking about the breath. This is important. The tongue on the roof of your mouth. This will help bring clarity. If you find that your tongue has moved forward more towards your teeth, you might find that you're thinking about some other shit. So just kind of bring that tongue back. There's several other reasons for that I won't go into at this point, but it's very helpful. And so the sounds of the 3 chakras that we're going to be circling today. So the heart chakra, again, is the sound of awe. So it's going to sound like ah. Okay. And then we're going to go down to the solar plexus chakra, which is the sound of oh. So that's going to sound like oh. And again, really circling it around inside of that solar plexus. And it's kind of like the gem, the golden gem that's inside of there. The solar plexus itself, the color is yellow. I wore my twirly dress for you guys today, and there's little yellow flowers and some green in there. And twirly dresses are super fun, girls, or even boys out there. And the twirly dresses are the ones where you spin around and the skirt spins, so it's almost like you can see your underwear. I love twirling and spinning. I think it's really fun. But anyway, sound of solar plexus again is O. And then I'm going down to the sacral chakra. And this sound of the sacral chakra is oo. So it's going to sound like ooh. So doing the circling of the 3, we'll start with the heart, the solar plexus, then the sacral, and then bring it back up. Kind of went back up. So let me try that one more time. Sorry, guys. I missed the O that first time around. So again, So yeah, at any point, use those 3, circling it around. If you want to just pay straight attention to the solar plexus, you can do that as well. But those are the 3 sounds. Rooting, again, creating the wiring system out from your feet and connecting it down into Mother Earth. Like I said, it's wires. It also is like the root system, connecting it to the neurological system that is there. will help keep you grounded at any point. Grounding is very helpful all even throughout your day. Even going out and walking barefoot. I walk barefoot all the time, and just put my feet outside in the dirt. I'm a very barefoot kind of person. So anyway, but in this meditation in specifics, I mean, you can even put yourself like you were walking around in your void space with the critters that were pulling in, and you're barefoot and you're walking through the grasses, and you're having your wire systems, and you can create that inside the space. This is up to you, because this is where you ignite yourself. So let us begin. So go ahead and close your eyes, or find a comfortable position to sit or lie down. And just begin to take your breaths easy and gradual. There's no rush. Just see how you're breathing today through your nose and out through your nose. The goal will be to get the breath deep into the solar plexus, right at the base and bottom of that solar plexus of that belly, and circling around inside that space. And adjusting the tongue to the top of your mouth, to the roof of your mouth, and relaxing the jaw the best you can. And then within your mind's eye, draw a triangle above your head and connect the points of those triangles below your feet, so that you're sitting inside of an upside down pyramid. And then draw another triangle, but this time place it below your feet and connect the points of that triangle above your head. So you're also sitting in an upright pyramid, also called the Merkaba. This Merkaba is your safe space. Nothing can harm or hurt or come inside this space without your permission. Create it to be your own. Add elements to the lines or the sides of the walls of your pyramid. Whether now or throughout your day or nights, come back to your Merkaba and just continue to build it. It is yours. This is your protective space. And in this space, only love can be spoken here, the truth of love. This is where you are, your highest light being self. And inside this Merkaba and outside is the void, where you are, where anything is possible. All creations. And breathe it in. And then inside that space, I've placed a box. Do you see it? Go ahead and walk over to that box and open it up. And here is where you put your identities. Anything that just no longer serves you. The negativities, the parts that might be more of that egoic self, or the judgments or the shames or the guilts, any of that. Just put it inside of there. You can come back and get it later if you wish, but this box will hold it for you. Or anything really that would identify you and box you into this reality. Because you're more than this reality. You're more than just this space. You are a beautiful, beautiful being, and I'm grateful that you're here. And when you're ready, go ahead and shut that box. And as I said, you can go back to it any time and get anything out of it you want. But for now, go ahead and leave it. And go back. And just go ahead and sit down side of your Merkaba. And continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. And with every exhalation, breathing out, go ahead and slough off any of that dense negative energy. And root it just straight down into the earth. Straight down through your wire systems. Just slough it off. In with the brightness, out with the dense energy. In with the light, out with the dense. Beautiful. Beautiful work. Now bring your attention to the top of your head, to your crown. There's a set of wires coming out from there too. They're clear crystalline wires. Do you see them? They're coming out like the helix of the DNA strands. And this you can take and go ahead and plug it in. Ooh, and which creature do we have? Which one are we going to connect to first? Can you see it yet? It's the owl. Has come flying in. Owl magic omens time and space. Does the truth emerge? Casting out deception. Silent flight. Sacred medicine bird. Thank you for coming. Connect your wires straight to this beautiful, magnificent bird's heart. It is here. It is here to bring the necessary information that you need in order to navigate your reality, and it's happy to be here with you, happy to be on this path, and to help you navigate through the shadows of the night. It will help you be your eyes so that you can see in the dark, and show you that you have that power too. And it's been there all along. Fly your bird in. Maybe create a tree within your space, or a rocky ledge, or a barn. Something for the owl to share inside of your space. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Maybe bring the bird all the way inside of you so that it's fluttering in through your crown and through your third eye and down your throat, allowing you to learn how to speak your truth within that space, and flying farther down into your heart. It's funny. Do you see the green hue of the owl now inside of your heart space? Here it shares its wings with you of silent flight. Breathe it farther down into that solar plexus, and hear the space that can remain to allow you to quell those anxieties, to be able to trust that intuition and to navigate. Thank you, Al, for being here. Thank you for sharing this light, or this dark, to come into this space. Allow it to fly down into the solar plexus, or the sacral chakra, shining and beaming and bringing understanding to the relationships within your life. The ability to see inside that dark, and bring it down all the way to the earth, all the way to your root systems. And then breathe her back up back up into your belly, back into that space. And here she will remain, or he, whatever gender, does not matter. It's part of the balance. And now I can see the moth. The moth is coming, but it was a little worried that the owl might eat it, but it won't. They're here to be friends. The moth. The moth is drawn to your flame. Do you see it? Take your wires from your head and go ahead and connect it to the moth so that it can fly down to you, fly down through your crown, fly down through your space, inside of your mind, inside of your throat, inside of your heart, and into your solar plexus. To bring the information that it has. The beautiful fertility and feminine energy. The ability to camouflage itself. Do you see that it kind of did that? What does its camouflage look like? What do its wings look like? Can you make wings like that for yourself? What would it feel like to fly with a moth inside this space? You can do anything. You're inside a space that all creations are yours. Thank you, moth, for being here. I like to call the moths Mothra. It's kind of appropriate, I guess. You got the ah, the raw, the ma, the moo. Now look and gather the chipmunk. Connect your wires to it. The chipmunk is here to play. It's very excited to come into your space with the owl and the moth. There is so much to learn from each other. Oh, the chipmunk definitely wants you to take notice that it too has black and white stripes and can bring the answers to the balance too. It's very cute and very playful. Perhaps there's a tree by you that has an acorn that you'd like to share with it. What beautiful information and joy to go on this next journey and the next part of our steps. Not only in this space, but all the steps we take after here. These animals are here to help and to love and show care. Thank you for being here. And there's the squirrel, of course. The squirrel is so ready to come. His mouth is already full. Its cheeks are filled with all of the things that it has gathered to be able to share, to bring you the tools necessary to be able to be prepared. Yes, the squirrel. You have gathered nuts by the score, exactly predicting if you'll need more. Teach me to take no more than I need, trusting great mystery to harvest the seed. Thank you, squirrel, for coming with this information to teach us how to gather, how to harvest, how to also let go, not taking more than we need. Also, squirrel, thank you for planting mostly all the trees. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but the squirrels are responsible for planting many of the trees as it gathers its resources and plants its seeds. So wonderful. We've needed you, squirrel. Thank you. You help bring us even the oxygen we breathe. How is your breath right now, you guys? Breathe in again. Breathe in this beautiful air that we get to have in this life. All of the resources are here and at our fingertips. So wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And here is the whale above your head and swimming around. It's been swimming around your Merkaba this whole time, ready to be invited in. Whale of mighty oceans, you have seen it all. Secrets of the ages are heard within your call. Teach me how to hear your words and how to understand the very roots of history of when our world began. Breathe the whale in. Connect your wires, your DNA to its heart. Plug them in. The whale has such a big heart. The bearer of all the secrets and knowledge that we desire. Breathe in the whale. Bring it down through your crown. Allow it to swim into your space and into your mind, bringing you the knowledge necessary to navigate, to know the next indicated step based off of all the information that remains. Allow it to swim down into your throat, teaching you how to speak your truth, to share this information, not just with yourself, but with the world, creating your future of exactly what you want. And allow it to swim into your SolarPlexus, into this space. Here is where they will remain, inside of the gut, who is another brain. It's time to tone now that the whale is here. If you'd like to follow along, we're going to start with the heart. Beautiful. Now take your moments as I begin to play and question all the critters that are there, that have come and play and create as I play. what have you learned? What have you seen? So beautiful and so free to play in this space and just to be. I love you guys so much, and I love playing in this space with you. Though it is your space of your own creations, we're all there together in our own fun, entangling process of playing with these things that hold such wealth of knowledge and information for us. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the whale. Thank you to the owl. Thank you to the moth. Thank you to the squirrel. And thank you to the chipmunk. And if any of you remembered about the vole and you brought the vole in, thank you for the vole as well. He's a cute little creature, the vole. He definitely felt comfortable to come into the backyard. That's what the medicine says. You know, it trusts its gut. So utilize that vole when you're looking for your gut and to learn how to trust. Take a breath in through your nose and exhale all of this beautiful information out into the rooting earth below you from your wiring systems. So beautiful, guys. Come back. And if you wish, don't forget to go back to your box and maybe any parts of the identities you'd like to take back with you. Do that now. Or just leave the box there. It's not going anywhere unless you wish it to. But that's up to you. I love you and thank you for being here. Please take your right hand and place it over your beautiful heart. And take your left and place it over your heart or your right hand. I love you. You are doing the best you can, and every day you're getting better. You are profoundly important. I see you. Do you see you? Your heart, it's flowing the information straight into your hands. Now change them. Place your left hand over your heart and your right hand over that. Allow yourself to receive the information that your heart is giving to you now. We say the beating heart, but it's more like a flow. Boom, 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 boom. It's a beautiful flowing of energy. And with your next breath, take all of the beautiful light and breathe it inside of you, all of the positive and wonderful joys. And when you exhalate it this time, exhalate it out into your auric fields, out into your aura. How big can you make it? How far can you send it? Right now I'm sending mine all the way out to the greatest outstretches of the entirety of the universe. And what's farther than that? Can I make it go farther than that? Yes. Yes, I can. I love you. I love you. I love you. And when you're ready, take your beautiful arms and wrap them around yourself, as I'm doing mine. I am giving you the biggest hug. I am right there with you. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for you. And again, you are so important. Wonderful work on liberating yourself. Wonderful work on meeting yourself in all of your beautiful, shadowy, bright lighted natures of yourself. But also remembering that you're so much more than that. I love you. I'm sending you an abundance of oxytocin right now. You are not alone. We are in this journey together. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. When you're ready, go ahead and just open your eyes and come back to yourself and come back to your center and just see what you observe. I appreciate all of the comments that you brought today and the stories that you shared, and just your beings. You, I see you and I feel you and I sense you. And if you ever need me, as I'm saying, just imagine that green laser light of my bandwidth and just connect it. Just see my face or hear my voice. It's inside your head. I'm right there. And all that information's there. Just like the medicine of the whale and the medicine of the chipmunk and the medicine of the moth is all at your fingertips. And farther than that, it's inside of you. It's beautiful. Beautiful work, guys. Thank you for being here. And if you liked anything of this video, which I've liked all of this, I think it's just been so fun to be with all of you. Please like it. Please like this video and share it, and share it all around. We're creating a world of people falling in love with loving ourselves and love. And that's where we're going. So share this, like this, subscribe to this channel. It's our goal to get 24 hours a day of messages like this going, so you know exactly where to go. And, you know, like YouTube, like it has the great videos on, again, like go and look at the School of Life. That has some great videos to watch. Give a shout out every time to the Shipibo tribe that changed my life and saved my life, and if in turn is doing that for you. They need our help. So I'm asking for donations for them. 100% of the proceeds goes there. I'm feeding 100 families currently, and it only is $4.50 for an entire month to feed an entire family. Can you imagine living, like seriously, can you imagine it only costing us $4.50? That included like all our food or medicines that we needed? That would be like a whole different world. My monthly income, like, or costs is much higher than that. But if you want to feel a want to pay it forward at this point, the Shipibo tribe, and there's information down below. And I like to say this too, even if it's just 50 cents, guys, like literally, like if you think about 1 week is like $1 for those people, like 50 cents feeds them at least for a family for several days. So anyway, I will continue to give shout outs to them. I love Dio DeMero and Resenda very much. And yeah, so any of that information is down below, or you can contact me. I want to read a few more comments before I go. I had actually grabbed a bag and started to fill it with clothes that I was holding on to that didn't fit my son. Oh, interesting. So, I don't, okay. Thanks for sharing, Jasmine. Hello, Lisa. I love, and lots of magical stars back to you, and gratitude. Love you too, Kevin. Love you all. And my pleasure, Willow. Thank you for being here. Love you. Yes, I love lots of hugs and kisses. Totally. Love you all. Thank you. Yes, again, my pleasure. Like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, spread the love. I love it. We'll leave it with that. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And yeah, my day feels much brighter. I hope your day feels much brighter. What a fun time just hanging out with you. And thank you all for being here and tuning in again. I will look forward to hopefully seeing you all in here again tomorrow. And then again tonight for Aaron and Zach's show, An Expanded Understanding. Last night was so fun. What a hoot they are. So a hoot. I did that on purpose. Did you catch it? Okay. Anyway, I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye 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 bye.